Welcome to the Reloading Podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network, presented by Primary Arms. Just kidding. There's a flashback for you. Anyway,
Yeah.
on a serious note, presented by Patriot Patch Company and Camerado. So, hello, Instagram. Hello, Rumble. Make sure everybody's working properly here. Slowly but surely. Let's see. But anyway, there we go. Now we're on Rumble. So I gotta hide the light for a second so everybody can see what hat I'm wearing. That's right. Go Wings go. So anyway. So it's you and me for now. Paul is having some technical difficulties. Sharena's running late. Jim can't make it. What about your kid?
He is at a gun club meeting.
Oh,
he'll
yeah,
probably
that's
be on.
right.
He'll
He
be
might
on
join us
towards the
later.
later end.
So, well, we might get far tonight then. All the
That's right.
Jabberjaws are gone.
That's right.
Oh. So, what you been up to?
They traveled for work last week, home this week, so getting caught up on some home projects and mowing the grass and all that stuff that comes along in the spring.
Oh, yeah.
But other than that,
Should have mowed last weekend, but I didn't. So
I've been having to do it about twice a week, dodging the rainstorms.
Yeah.
Other than that, not much gun stuff. I think I'm going to meet up with Nick this weekend. I think there's a gun show we're going to go to, so never know what we're going to find.
Sounds fun. You'll have to let me know what you find.
Oh, yeah.
So
there ain't been too many gun shows I go to, even if I don't buy anything that I haven't been. Just it's good to get out and look at the toys. That's the way I look at it.
Tell Nick he owes me a stabby for my 1903.
03 Springfield?
Yeah.
Oh.
I got that Pedersen one, but I want to put a stabby on it.
Okay.
So
they're expensive.
Well, that's why I said tell Nick he owes me one.
He owes you one.
For that Argentine.
Yeah.
I
think I bought my 1905 bayonet. I think I paid $275 and all, so they're not cheap.
No.
But a grand bayonet too if you got a grand bayonet.
I don't have a grand, so.
Gotta get one.
Gotta have money.
Yeah, that's true. Other things do come first.
So. But for me, just basically working. I was planning on going shooting and mowing the lawn on Sunday, but the family decided to have a barbecue over at my mother-in-law's, so we went over there. So that was fun. It was kind of the first big get-together since the funeral. So
yeah. Cook anything good?
Frozen burgers and some brats from Hy-Vee.
Oh.
Or no, Costco, not Hy-Vee. Brats weren't bad. Burgers were decent. So, but they're frozen burgers, so you know how that goes. And most of the people over there don't like theirs with any pink in the middle, so
God,
that makes them even worse. And they didn't have any Worcestershire, so
yeah.
I mean, anytime you're cooking those frozen burgers, Worcestershire is a mandate because it helps keep them a little from getting so dry. And that's why, kids, I go through at least a bottle of Worcestershire a year. So, because it goes on all my burgers. So, oh well, some guy in college, kid from Florida, just jacked a home run 516 feet.
Oh,
college.
you watched it, college?
No, ESPN notification on my watch.
Oh.
So
Speaking of W sauce, have you tried Bear and Burton's W sauce?
no, I haven't. I always get Lee
It's
and
a
Parents.
no. This is a cross between Worcestershire and barbecue sauce, and it's got a hint of A1. Oh, it's good stuff.
What's it
Yes,
called?
it's called Bear and Burton's W sauce, just like the animal bear, Bear and Burton's.
I'm looking that up right now.
We
Heck,
cooked
even
a
Ace Hardware's got it.
yeah, we cooked a beef tenderloin on the grill, the smoker for Easter, and put some of that on it as a sauce. Oh, it's excellent, especially like Worcestershire sauce.
I love Worcestershire. Bear and Burton's W sauce was not originally created by Bear or Burton, but they did perfect it. Anyway, all right, we'll have to check that out.
There you go. They got a free plug even.
So Paul is not having a technology. His technology is not playing nice, so he is not going to be joining us this evening.
Ah,
So
Jim, get his computer up and running.
I don't think so.
Uh-oh.
I'm not real impressed with, from what Jim's told me, I'm not real impressed with the guy that did the upgrades and the update. So, yeah, not impressed at all. Like, it seems like it was kind of a flim flam job, kind of half assed it. So,
That's a shame.
yeah, it is. So, I don't know where he took it, so I can't, bash the place, but
Right.
so, but anyway, yeah, Ken, I just heard that they scored. I actually have the Red Wings game on out in the man cave. Oh, his audio card failed, and that'll kill you. That's why
Yeah.
he was coming across even worse than a teacher in Charlie Brown. So, yeah, today is the last day of the regular season of hockey, and so the Wings need to win, and then they need Philly to beat the Capitals so they can make the playoffs for the first time in 7 years. So, but I mean, to be honest, if they make it, unless they somehow pull their heads out of their rectums and learn how to play better defense, they're not going to make it out of the first round anyway. But I think we need to go to Vanessa's. Stuffed Weisenberger with blue cheese and melty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would work.
Mm, better than what I had. Rotini with garlic salt and Parmesan cheese on it. So, but found a couple of roasts in the freezer the other day, so I got to throw one of those in the Instapot tomorrow night.
There you go.
So that is the one nice thing about that little device is you can throw the meat in frozen and it doesn't make much of a difference. Whereas if you try and do that in a crock pot, it does not turn out at all. So
Never cooked with the Instapot.
it's actually not bad. The nice thing about it is if, say, you decide you want chili, and say it's like 3 o'clock on a Saturday, and you decide you want chili that night. You can throw it all in the Instapot, and it'll be ready in about an hour. It's not going to have quite the full flavor of it being in the crock pot all day, but it's definitely going to have some good flavor to it.
Yeah.
So I was talking to Running with Scissors, and he had a bunch of 308 brass, and he said, found a rifle for that 308 brass, one of Cabela's finest Savage Axis. Out of Greenville, South Carolina, told my buddies, all a man needs is an Axis XP with a sporter barrel and a Weaver scope. Been fun. So, Yeah. It's Axis SP is a great starter rifle, and the nice thing is, if I remember correctly, it's still got the standard Savage barrel mount, so you can use it and upgrade it if you want. Change cartridges out pretty easy, but I mean it's not bad. But usually, most people I know when they buy it, they take that Weaver scope and go.
Yeah, I got the
Oh, that's not
Savage
a good
one.
sound.
I got the Savage 110 tactical and like it. It's don't shoot a whole awful lot, but it's been a good rifle.
Yeah, Ken, thanks. I just heard the horn going off again. Dang it. Dude, it looks like Sharonda's in an LSD video.
Yeah,
Even
she's even got a new do.
kinda.
Kind
Yeah.
of.
Hello, Jeff Daniels. I mean, they were down by 2 last night and came back, so. Looking to see what the bums that aren't in the chat here are talking about on Discord. Looks like they're talking about measuring chamber OAL. So, anyway, Sharonda, what you been up to?
Snagging and packing. I gotta move.
Oh yeah, you do. Hey,
Yeah.
what body of water were you on?
We were at Truman Lake in Warsaw.
Okay.
I didn't catch anything, but it was a tournament and the water was saturated. But I did get to fillet a couple, so
Yeah, I saw you.
yeah. I was like, huh, I didn't catch nothing, but can I fillet? You'd be surprised at how people jump to let you fillet their fish.
Oh heck yeah. Oh, bonus!
You-
They overturned the goal. That's awesome. So I'm gonna go give the people in Discord crap. Hey, we are. Oh no! Wait a minute. The Red Wings just scored again. Never mind.
What game you
So,
watching?
I'm listening to the Red Wings and Les Habitats,
Ah,
also known as the Montreal Canadiens. So if the Red Wings win and Philly wins, the Red Wings are in the playoffs. Today's the last day of the season. So, but anyway, so tonight we are going to talk about the beginning steps for bottleneck cartridges. So bottleneck cartridges are not as easy to do as straight wall because there are more steps that are required. Obviously, it's got the neck, so sizing's a little different. I just we're using 3030 brass. Here is some 556 brass. The reason I'm using 3030 is because, as you can see, it's quite a bit bigger, so it'll show up better when we're trying to do stuff on camera. So with straight wall, you literally just had to size it. Nothing else you had to worry about. Let's see here. Do.
Ray, you back at home?
Oh yeah, I'm back home.
Ah.
But I'll be in your neck of the woods this weekend.
Oh, that's why.
Ah, cool. I'll be at the
Yeah.
store this weekend.
Oh,
And the
maybe
cord's
we'll
not
drop in and
plugged
see you.
Do
I'm
that.
trying to figure out why it's not connecting. Cord's not plugged in. Duh.
You working Saturday and Sunday?
No, Saturday I'm working. Sunday I'm taking the greedy creedy out.
Okay.
My friend's husband is letting
Oh,
me
dang
piggyback at his
time.
range time.
Okay.
Hey, it's warm enough now.
That's right.
Maybe the battery's dead.
It
Which is
would have
weird.
been out sooner, but it's kind of too big to be carrying it out in the woods trying to get a deer with.
Everybody's having technical difficulties tonight.
Well, yeah, the camera doesn't want to play nice.
Has Candy got Junior hemmed up?
Candy.
Candy ran away. We're on to Babs now.
Oh, Babs.
I'll know when he finds a serious girlfriend because his gun buying will go way down.
I doubt it's a girl. He'll be like, no, she got to go.
I said you need to start looking for girls at the gun shows because they're going to be somewhat
Right?
interested.
Well, that's no fun. I cannot get the thing to play nice. Gun bunnies, right? Well, what the heck? I don't know what's going on.
You break something?
Well, I haven't used the camera in a couple weeks. It's not playing nice. So I'm not sure what the dealio is. But anyway, which is annoying. But anyway. Sorry, gang. I'm just not smarter than the camera. Which, as you can see, it's a DSLR. So, yeah. I'm kind of not doing well on that one. So, anyway. I'm not sure what the dealio is here.
Jeff Daniels, that is correct. I can't tell you how many times I've had to ask my wife, okay, how do I do this with the remote control? I remember the good days where we had an on and off channel, up and down, a volume up and down, and that was it.
Yeah.
Now you need this remote to do this, that remote to do this. This was for the DVD player.
That's why I make sure I buy the TVs, Blu-ray players, and everything else the same brand because the remotes are all tuned in.
Yep.
Like, and I'm not that old, but I am finding myself saying, "Oh shit, I should have had kids to run all these electronics and software."
I can figure it out, but I don't watch a lot of TV, so I don't care to even learn to mess with how to do it. I'm more of I want to watch something that's on the computer.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
anyway, I'll fight with that later. So, for now, we'll just wing it. So, anyway, so basically, okay. So here's the first question. Nick is at a gun club meeting. Paul's having technical difficulties with his computer. Sounds like the sound card went. So basically what we want to do is the goal is to take this and make it into a loaded cartridge. However, it's a fired cartridge, so it has no bullet, no powder, and the primer's junk. So we need to fix that. What's our first step? We just got back from the range, and we're going to load up a new set of loads because the load we did before didn't work.
I would say you got to clean the case. But that brings up a topic. It's personal preference. Do you punch the primer or you clean the brass with the primer in it?
Okay.
I like to.
So that is a good question. And so what he's talking about, as soon as it reloads here, is if you look, this one doesn't have a primer in it, and this one does. Sorry, computer's going really slow now. Now the question is, do you punch the primer out and then have it clean like this or empty like this is before you throw it in? Or do you leave the primer in? So here's the thing is, excuse me, if you want to throw it in whatever cleaning you're going to do and you want the primer out, you get yourself one of these from FW Arms. And this is Universal Decapper. Okay, that worked out better than I thought. So basically how a decapper works is you're going to need a shell holder that fits. I have the set from Lee right here. So what you're going to do is you're going to pop this bad boy open, look at your little destructions here. Yes, reloading is the one time men are actually allowed to use destructions. So I'm going to look for 30-30 Winchester on here.
Should be a number 2, I believe.
Mike, how old is your set you got?
I don't know. Number 3.
3?
Yeah. 20 years at least.
I haven't seen that color unless it's been like super old.
They have 2 sets. Okay. Where is my 3? It's no bueno. Did I put it in with the dice? Nope. So now we have a problem. Because it's number 3, and I don't see. Somehow I have 2 2s, and a 9, and a 1, and a 4, a 19, an H8. I don't know what that's from. So, strange.
A 2 should work.
That's calling for a 3, but we'll give it 2 a shot. No, it will not fit in a 2.
It won't fit in a 2. I'll be darned.
Yeah. So that must be from one of my other sets. Well, that's weird. It'll fit in this too, which is not actually a Lee 2. This is a different company's, but it won't fit in the Lee 2. So maybe that's why. Anyway, all right. So now we have a shell holder that fits. So I don't know what the heck. I'll figure out where the other one went someday. So anyway, all right. So we got that. And then we're going to turn down the die. We run the, basically what we're looking to do is we are running the RAM up, have the die set. And what we want is we actually want to be able to look in here and see our decapping pin sticking down through the shell plate. I'm never going to be able to get that picture good enough, so I'm sorry I can't show it to you. But basically what you're looking for, Herschel, yes, it is a Lee cast iron O-press. So it's my only single stage because I had a rock crusher and wound up horse trading it. So and nobody's donated another single stage to the podcast, and I don't have money for that. So maybe when I sell off a couple of presses, I'll get one. So anyway, Clifford said I would like if all the manufacturers would keep all the shell holders, the numbers the same on all the shell holders. Herschel agrees, and so do I. It would be so much nicer if they had all of them together. So, and no matter what, it was consistent. Unfortunately, it's not. So anyway, so we've got our FW Arms decapping die in here, and then we put the we put the case in here. But wait, it's not lubed. I keep hearing I have to have lube.
Not on this die.
Not with this one. When you're sizing, yes. So now, no more primer. So we're going to go through and we're going to decap all of these.
See, I wet tumble clean with stainless media, and I find I get a good clean when I punch the primers. But
yeah.
Back when I used to use walnut media and dry clean,
you don't get a clean.
Well, you don't get a clean, and it would sometimes you would hang up and you'd have your primer pocket would be plugged.
Yeah, it depends on the media you're using.
Yeah.
So, this is a real nice, easy step. Basically, just slide it in, run it up, bring it down, pull it out. That's the nice thing about the universal decapping die. I don't need to lube it. I don't need to do anything other than set it up and away I go, because it does not touch the outsides of the case, so I don't need to worry about it getting stuck.
Mike, a gentleman did post in the comments that it seems like you would be wasting time by not
I was going to come back to that one. So I was going to come back to that one. But yeah, thank you, Sharinda.
Yeah, FW Arms, that one Mike's using is make sure I got it right here. I think that's the $80 one. They do make a simple one, which is the one I've got. It's $35. The only thing is it doesn't self-center. Mike self-centers.
Yep.
But I'll tell you what, you'll never break a pin.
No. Yeah, I'm still using mine from what was it, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
I got mine from him, and I've yet to need to change the pin.
So one of the things with this press, and people can't see because the camera's not covering it, but when you run the RAM up, you can see this little hole right here. So right below here is the primer catch. And so all of the dirty old primers go in here, and occasionally shell holders. like a number 3.
The one you couldn't find.
Yay!
So
Good stuff.
let's point out. Let's use this as an educational opportunity to point out. Now would be a good time for you to put that where it belongs, Mike.
Yes. Now you will notice when you buy these lease sets, they're always missing one. Don't know why, but they only give you 11, not 12. Anyway, so that is where it belongs now. So I will not have to hunt for it next time. I have 19 pieces of 30-30 brass. I don't know where the rest of my 30-30 brass is right now, and I totally spaced looking for it until about 5 minutes before the show. But anyway, my point was when I found the shell holder is the primers pop out of here and land in that little bin. Well, if you go too fast, you wind up with primers going all over the place. Just because of the nature of how it works. And so you may find primers laying all over your bench like I'm doing right now. So I'm picking them up and tossing them back in there. So, excuse me. All right. So now we've got these done. So now we've got our loading block. Got our brass here. Don't worry about these. This is just extra stuff. It just kind of the longer you load, the more you're going to find you grab a loading block and it's got stuff in it. And then you sit there and you go, what the hell? So, but, so that's kind of what, the basic of that is. Now, Ryan Simpson just mentioned something. There is a 3D printed file for catching primers. It does a lot better job of that. I would have to have time to get my 3D printer working. I think that's one of my things on my list to print. So, but as Ray was saying, this self-centers. So basically what it's got here is this is spring loaded, and so it comes down, and as your case mouth is slapping around in there, it actually centers the brass. Single stage press doesn't make a difference. You'll never use that feature. Where it makes its money is on your progressives, because as your progressives are going and as you're launching that brass around the press, you will notice the brass wobbles a little bit. And so what that does is that centers that brass in there. So it lines up, goes right up, and you don't have to worry about primers, or you don't have to worry about your decapping pin punching holes through the side of your brass. Because like we said, you'll not break that pin. I've actually had 303 Berdan primed, which is where it's got the 2 little wires that come through. I've actually had that die punch a new flash hole through into the primer pocket and then decap it. So, crap, there goes the neighborhood. Paul Loud's here.
Hey, Paul.
So he was trying to help Nelson spend his money today. I don't know how that went. So anyway, so as Ray was saying, he deprimes them because he does stainless steel media in a wet tumbler. So he actually has fluid in there with the stainless steel media. It rolls around and rolls around and rolls around. And as the stainless steel media is bouncing around, it actually cleans out the primer pocket as well. I use, right, JT? I use good old fashioned vibratory tumbler, and I use walnut media. So it will kind of clean it out, but not really well. So I don't bother punching the primers. But what I what I don't have a problem with is the walnut media getting stuck in the flash holes. So that is one of the reasons why some people don't decap before cleaning. Because if you're using walnut media of a certain size or using corncob media, the little grains will get stuck in that little flash hole. Because if I hold it right, you can see all the way through it. So that little hole is the flash hole. And so when you smack the primer and the primer goes off, that's where the breeziance from the primer goes and then hits the gunpowder. So, but that's what they do. One of the things you really want to do, I mean, I spent a couple of minutes decapping these, so it really wasn't that big of a waste, honestly. But where to go? Where to go? Where to go? Truth had mentioned earlier, seems like you would waste time doing those steps without inspecting the brass first. And that is a valid point. Um, the reason you wouldn't have to inspect the brass first is if it's virgin brass, which means it's never been fired in the first place, or it was shot once and you literally took it out of the gun and put it in your whatever you're holding your brass in, whether it's a ammo box or a MTM case or whatever. Then you wouldn't necessarily first fired, or you wouldn't necessarily need to check it, um, unless you were testing loads that were on the hotter end of the scale. Then you would. You'd be looking for but you'd already done that in inspections at the range theoretically. But we'll cover that later. Cover range inspections later, checking for hot loads and stuff. So what you're looking for on your piece of brass is any ding or dent that is a crease. If it's just a ding ding, like see in the neck here, I don't know how well it'll show up, but see if you can see, if it'll focus. You can see that dent there. That'll come out. Now, this won't ever be shot again because that was from some fun that Ken Brown had. Those are 5 cases of Ken Brown's that I actually have. He donated to the podcast, and so I've got these. He had some issues with them and stuff, so and we used them for an episode one night. But if you find a actual physical split, like there's an actual hole somewhere along the neck. So basic parts here. This is the neck right here. This angled part's the shoulder. This is your body. And then this is a rimmed case versus this is a rebated rim. Well, no, it's actually not a rebated rim, but it's just a flat rim, I guess. So it doesn't stick out past the body of the brass, whereas this one does. So, and somebody's going to correct me in the crowd on what it should be properly called. Sorry, it was a long day. And then you've got your primer pocket where your primer goes. So, and then the opening here is case mouth. It's kind of your basic stuff you need to know. What we're looking for is we're looking for split nocks, split shoulders. One of the things you look for, but is hard to find, is incipient case head separation. I don't have a really good example. I can't share more than one camera at a time. Anyway, but basically what an incipient case head separation is where it starts to pull apart here. And so if you look on the inside, or you take like a paper clip and you run it along the inside, you're going to notice there's a place where it stops because the brass is actually pulling apart. So, and you want to check that. So, these are all good. I've actually looked them all over previously. So, but yeah, like I said, you're looking for any dent that is a crease. If it's just a dent, like I showed on that case mouth, that'll come out. If it's a dent in the body or in the shoulder that's not creased, yeah, Ken, I know. I just don't have the ability to fire up the other camera right now. I don't even know where it went. I think I took it down. I have a little inspection camera, which we use for showing off the case head separation, but I don't know where it went because I was cleaning up my bench and moved it. So I'll figure out where it went. But yeah, as Ken was saying, these are the 6 arcs that he had the case head separation. The problem is it doesn't really show anything on the outside. It's only on the inside it's showing up on these. Well, here's one that kind of does. So if you can kind of see, focus on the case. Nope, I'm not gonna. Anyway.
Yeah, it's pretty blurry.
I know. That's a little better. Anyway, sorry, but you can't. It's not showing up right now. But you can see there's kind of a little line. So, Jeff Daniels wants to know if incipient case head separation is caused by pushing the shoulders back too far. I've never heard of that causing it. Usually, it's a head spacing issue or just a case wear issue. More often, not a head spacing issue. More than anything.
You see in a lot of old mill SERPs when they had loose chambers,
Mm-hmm.
and you resize back the factory specimen, and you do it each time. It just wears that head out.
Yeah, basically what it is. Typically, these are being held in by the bolt, so it doesn't move as much.
Right.
I mean, if you could have it float in the chamber and not actually be attached, you probably wouldn't have that issue. But because the actual rim is attached usually to the bolt, it won't move as much as it needs to, and so basically it pulls. Yeah, your brass is expanding to fill the chamber, but that won't move. So eventually what happens is the brass continues to pull away and can pull away and pull away. And when you resize, there's not really any way to push that back.
No.
I mean, you can kind of prevent it a little bit by annealing because it resoftens the brass, but usually you're not annealing down that far anyway. So yeah, it's more of a head spacing issue than anything. I'm sure there probably are other reasons, not that I know of, but head spacing is the main thing. So if you start getting that, then you've got chamber issues of some sort. So I don't remember. Ken, you'll have to refresh me. What was the issue that was causing it in your rifle? So, excuse me. So now we've inspected our brass. Our brass is good. We've deprimed it. I already cleaned it before I deprimed it because, like I said, that's what I do with the media. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, this is a primer pocket cleaner. This is just your basic, cheap, run-of-the-mill primer pocket cleaner. Kind of looks like a flathead screwdriver type. And basically what you do is you just stick it in there and spin it back and forth. Dump out the junk. And now it's a little shiny in there. If I can get it to show up. So you can kind of see there. So you can really see when you hold it in light where the camera's not in the way. So that's that, and it's basically this. So now, if you don't want to do that, there's lots of other options out there for it. What I actually have is from Little Crow Gunworks out of Minnesota. And I gotta change that out because it's set up for the small. So what I have is, this is the precision prep tool. It's got your chamfer and deburr, and then your primer pocket, kind of a uniformer, and then your primer pocket cleaner. So, and these are actually Lyman bits. So if you buy the Lyman kit with the Lyman hand tool, that's what you're getting. So, welcome to the show, Brian. So, and basically there's a small primer pocket and a large primer pocket cleaner and stuff. So we're going to take those, toss those away, put them back in the box, set the box off the side.
I think when I first started reloading, before I had a case prep center, I would take those fittings and buy a standoff, screw those in there, and just chuck them in my cordless drill.
Yeah, you could do that too. I actually have the Hornady down in the drawer, the electric powered one.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this one here is really nice. Just go like this. Done. And so it really saves wear and tear versus turning that. Now, obviously, using a powered prep center is even better. So, and no, I'm not looking at it. If you want to check them every once in a while, you can. Basically, it's a quick movement. You're just trying to get the most of the debris off there. The longer you do it, the more you wear your primer pocket. And then what you can have is you can actually thin it out too much, and then you've got bad problems. So sometimes you'll notice it sticks a little bit, and then so you want to either adjust how you're holding it, or whatever the case may be. And these tools do wear out. So, and it's designed to only go one direction. If you go the opposite direction, it starts to unscrew it. So this is how we do it. But yeah, it is really nice. If you're gonna stay by hand, this is nice. The whole setup's like 70 or 80 bucks. I'll have to look and see. I'll put a link in the show notes, because with inflation and everything, I'm sure it's probably gone up since I got it. So, Little Crow Gunworks also makes the world's finest trimmer and all sorts of other stuff. I'm not chamfering and deburring because I haven't seen if I needed to trim the cases yet. You don't chamfer and deburr until after you do that. So, anyway, so we don't need this anymore. It can go back in its friendly little box. One of those things of making sure you put your stuff away. So, where it belongs, instead of just throwing it all over the place or leaving it lay out, or leave it in the primer catch. So, what's that?
Little Crow's got that gizmo you're using, $38.95.
Right, but then you got to buy the bits.
Yeah, you got to buy the bits, but they're cheap.
So my price, I was with the price, I was including both.
Both, okay.
Yeah, so I don't know how much the bits are anymore.
They show set $30. So you're right.
Okay,
about what
so it went up $4 because when I got it, it was $34.95. So that's not bad. Not bad at all. Honestly, Quadfather 504 FPV wants to know, how often do you all suggest annealing brass? If you're going to get into annealing, every single time you shoot it, you anneal it. Period. That's it. Not every second time or every fourth time or every ninth time. Every time. You're not hurting. You can't, unless you over temp the brass,
Right.
you cannot over anneal your brass. So if you are doing it correctly and you were doing it to the correct temp at the correct duration, you're not hurting the brass, you're helping it. Now, if you either do it too long or too hot, well, actually, if you do it too long, then you get it too hot. So then it causes problems. So, but yeah, honestly, anneal every time. Annealing, we're actually going to cover what annealing is and how you anneal in the advanced bottleneck, not the basic. So basics kind of more for like your deer hunter. You're just loading for your deer load, and you want to just keep it basic. So basic hand tools, a basic press. You probably wouldn't have the fancy decapping die because you're probably loading for 1 or 2 cartridges. So that type of thing. So once we have cleaned our brass, prepped our brass, next up is we need to size the brass. Good night, Andy. And why do we size the brass before we trim it? Sharenda?
She left or not?
No, she's there. She just forgot how to unmute. Oh, she says she ate. My mic won't come on. Well, that sucks. All right. Anyway, so while Sharenda deals with that technical difficulty, the reason, as Andy just said in the chat, is the perfect answer. When you size it, the case gets longer. And Truth asked, does sizing stretch the brass? Yes, it stretches the brass. Because when you're pushing that brass back together, so basically what happens when you shoot it, the brass goes and goes out. So now what we need to do is we need to squish that back together. When you're squishing it back together, the brass has to go somewhere. It's not going to go down into the rim because the rim is harder brass. Well, not necessarily harder brass, but usually a little thicker brass. It's not going to do it. It's going to go to the path of least resistance, which is your neck. So it's going to push this way and push out, making this longer. So when you go to resize it, Shrun is going to reboot and join us. So basically, what are our brass flows when you resize it? So we're going to take our decapping die, which has the little pin that sticks out on it like that. Decapping die, setting up for decapping and sizing is literally the same process as what I just did with the decapping die. You're going to set it in your press. You're going to screw it down until I'm not going to lie, this is kind of fun. So what we want to do, and sometimes you got to move these lock rings, but what you want is you want it all the way down until it touches the ram at the top. And you look through and you see your decapping pin. That way you know we got it set right. Now, see, I locked this down last time I had it in the press, so I don't have to worry. So here's a question. Can I just throw it in there like that, ram it up into the resizing die? Once.
Well, I'm trying to think where you're going.
Once. Why once?
Oh,
because
yeah,
if you're a normal person,
no lube.
the die sticks in the brass, or the brass sticks in the die because it's no lube. However, you can use lube. I like Imperial Sizing Wax. So, Andy, I thought you were going. Sweet. Anyway, thanks, Andy, for staying around. I know you were heading out, but oh, hi, Paul. So, hot damn, Wings just tied it. So, Paul Nelson says also when you pull the expander ball. Oh, Andy's finishes a smoke. Okay, have one for me. I quit 23 years ago. So I guarantee for all of you. Okay, so little side note: if you smoke, quitting is the hardest thing you're ever going to do. You have to really want to do it first and foremost. Don't quit. Don't try and quit for anybody else because you won't. Doesn't matter who. You have to want to do it. Second, if you do not smoke and you have never smoked, you cannot give smokers crap about trying to quit. Period. Because you have no friggin' idea. Okay.
It's like being heavy and trying to lose weight. It sucks.
Smoking's harder, honestly. Quitting
I've never
smoking
had
is
that
harder
bad.
than trying to lose weight. But the problem is, so oh yeah, so what Paul was trying to say is when you pull the expander ball through the neck of the case, it it pulls that neck up. So that's part of the resizing process. And you now if yeah. I was going to say about pulling your decapping pin, but I don't need to worry about that. The only time you really pull your decapping pin out of your sizing die is if you've already got it primed and for some reason you have to resize it. Okay, that would be the reason for resizing it. So
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever pulled mine. I backed it up so it doesn't deprime or doesn't punch that deep.
so some Facebook user says, but you don't smoke and you're still big.
Oh,
I did smoke, so that's the only problem with Facebook is I don't get to see who makes the comments. So identify yourself, Facebook commenter. Oh, Jordan Johnson. Hi, Jordan. Um, so when I did originally try to quit smoking for my wife, I put on 60 pounds in 3 months. Okay. And then when I actually did quit, I put on probably another 40 pounds. But part of the reason why I'm as big as I am now is because I worked as basically a secretary for 5 years. So I was sitting on my butt all the time and munching. And so, um, so that's part of it. So, oh, Jordan Johnson was just busting my chops. All right. So, trust me, Jordan, there are days where I think about smoking again just to see if I can lose the weight, but then I realize how bad the smoking is and realize that's a really, really stupid idea. So, anyway, back to the reloading. So, in order to run a piece of brass up into the bottleneck brass up into this sizing die and have it come back out, you're going to need lube on it. So, like I said, I use imperial sizing die, imperial sizing wax. That camera is not showing it well, so I'll bring it up here. This is from Redding Reloading. So they have a dry wax now too, but I don't know. I've never tried it. So someday I'm going to see Robin at NRA show and I'll talk to him a little bit about it. Maybe he'll have a thing there I can play with and see. So, all right. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our finger, we're going to lightly rub it, and then we're going to take and rub our finger on our thumb. And then basically what we do is we just spin it around real quick. Okay. And what some people, and you can actually use 2 fingers. So what I do is I'll do that and then I'll rub my thumb on it. And then basically the brass sits in between the 2 fingers like that. And you just spin. Now what some people say is put some gloves on. What Paul Nelson said a week ago, is if you put white cotton gloves on, then it lasts even longer. The problem with this is your skin does absorb the sizing wax over time, like your skin absorbs everything else. So, but usually if I do it right and I'm paying attention, I can usually get 20 off of one dip into the sizing wax. So this is my third container of sizing wax. Out of this one, I've probably done 300 or 400 pieces of brass, um, and there's barely a divot. So it a little dab will do you. So, but usually, actually, what I do is I wear nitrile gloves, so it doesn't absorb into my hands and it stays on the gloves. But I forgot to grab them, so ooh, we want to toss that one. So one of the nice things is when you're doing this, you can actually find other issues. Like this is, I think this is that Sears one that I mixed in by accident because I had it over here. Remember that? The one that split after firing? Anyway, so, but yeah, you can search and kind of double check. So as you're going. Anyway, so I didn't look at the head stamps and all these because I had all of the same. And then somehow, as I was doing this and setting up, one of the Sears ones made it in there. So, and then you should have something to wipe your hands on, which I don't think I do. So that was stupid. Oh, there we go. I was gonna say I thought I had a towel around here. Anyway, sorry for all the Instagram people, but Instagram's a bunch of biatches, and we exceeded our hour, so they killed it. So we pause this for a moment to redo the Instagram. Anyway, maybe someday I'll get important enough on Instagram to actually have um, a longer time limit. I don't know, maybe. So, but so I got to go through the rigmarole here of adding the Instagram back in. Do do do. Anyway, um, yeah, we're back. So got all of the cartridges waxed. Like I said, or lubed, I should say. Like I said, I found one that shouldn't have been in there. And I'll show you why. Is this one actually has a split shoulder and neck. So we'll see if we can get the. Oh, here comes the rain again. No, I'm not singing the rhythmic song. So I can get it to focus. There you go. So this is one of the drawbacks to firing old ammo. I know that this ammo was kept nice and dry and warm because it's been in the person's basement for many, many years. Or not basement, but it had been stored properly. This was my grandpa's ammo, and then it became my uncle's ammo. And they both had it stored properly with the rest of their guns, and their guns don't have any rust on them. This is an old Sears case. The funny thing is, it's actually a Remington case, so that's probably why I didn't see it because it is an RP case. Um, but this was Sears ammo, and kaboom! Yeah. So, needless to say, this is the only one I shot out of that. Anyway, so now what we got to do is we go like this, all the way up, all the way down. It's a little more resistance. So and we're just sizing. And you will notice, depending on how much lube you put on here, you'll notice an extra bit of resistance as you're going up. And then also as you're coming down, because what's up is the shoulder and everything on the outside getting squished. Down coming back is the expander ball out of the middle. And it's actually, that's what's pulling that neck back. So, and that's why you got to make sure it's centered every time. So usually the expander ball won't cause you a lot of problems if you're going fast. So, and plus, as you get more, as you lube or as you run more cases in, you actually build up the lube on the die itself. So then that helps. If you have like I showed you on that one case, if you have like like a little smush in your neck or everything, that'll straighten out. Clifford Zach wants to know, when using sizing wax, can you get lube dents? Absolutely. If you put too much sizing wax on there, you can get lube dents. So what a lube dent is, and I wish Nick was here. So a lube dent is where there's actually too much lube up in the die and it has to go somewhere. And if your die doesn't have vents on it, it will actually push a dent into the brass. So usually it's not gonna crimp or put a crease in the die or in the brass itself because of the way it pushes that in there. So I mean, you can fire it and it'll pop out. So it's not a big deal. It just looks weird. But yes, you can actually get a lube dent from sizing wax. Theoretically, it's pretty hard because you're not going to be putting that much on, especially if you do it the way I showed you. But I know some people, or at least used to, take and just roll it around in the actual sizing wax, which is not what it's meant to do.
That's one reason I've never liked the lube pads.
Yeah, I don't like lube pads either.
I think way over lubricating.
Yep. So, so I also, if I'm going to be doing a lot of like, say I'm loading up 5.56, I will not use sizing wax. I use Hornady One Shot. And as we discussed on this podcast numerous times, including last week, ad nauseum, I've never stuck a case, even when I friggin' tried. So the key is, with One Shot, is you're going to spray, and then, or what you can do is just rotate it. Doesn't matter. So you spray, all four angles, okay? Or all four sides. And then you go like this. And you set it out of the way. And you leave it alone. And then what you do, you wait for it to dry. And you wait for it to dry. And then when they're dry, then you can play with them. Vemjum is saying no stuck case. Once you stuck a case, once you got a stuck case remover. Yes, because you can use a stuck case remover to get it out. So
when I use a spray lube, I typically put my brass in a plastic ice cream bucket.
Yep.
Spray, shake them, do the second spray, shake them, the third spray, shake them, then I'll let them dry.
Okay.
That way I don't get all that lube on my block.
Yeah. I've never actually had a buildup or issue from it. This block here has literally had, I don't know, 700 or 800 cases in it. And you know, if you look on the end there, you can see a little discoloration.
Yeah.
But overall, not really anything. So, I mean, not to the point where it's whooshing. So, Six Pack Project said Gardner Bedner Wire Aid is my favorite sizing wax. That works really well too, and it's cheaper than Imperial. Basically, what it is, it's for pulling wire.
Oh, I thought that.
Mm-hmm. Pulling wire through especially like through conduit or PVC. So you don't worry about just damaging the insulation. That sucks. So. So that's where we're going to stop tonight. We're an hour and 20 in, and just stop for tonight on that, and then we'll go to case trimming and go from there. But we'll kind of elaborate a little more on cleaning the cases. So to clean the cases, you can use a couple different options. Most people do one of two things. They either have a vibratory tumbler, which is a round thing that has a shaking motor on the bottom, and you put some sort of media in there to rub against the brass. Typical ones are corncob media or walnut media. And then you usually get your best results by adding something to that media. Like this from Flitz. If you don't want to buy the Flitz stuff, which actually works really well, you can get new finish car polish in the liquid form.
Yeah, I've used that before.
So, and basically how you do that is you got your media in your vibratory tumbler. You take, you know, basically like an ounce of the new finish Flitz. You don't have to use that much. Flitz or not. 1 ounce. Okay, so it is 1 ounce per 1 pound of media. So basically, unless you have like the huge Dillon vibratory tumbler, you're probably going to wind up using 1 ounce. Maybe a little more. But what you do is then you put your cover on, turn your tumbler on, let it go for about 20 minutes, take your cover off. Most of it mixes in with the tumbler media really nice. But if it doesn't, then what you do is you just grab the little globules and kind of break it up all the way around and then run it again. Another thing to use is jeweler's rouge. Jeweler's works very well too. So basically what we're adding for is so you get the shine. You can throw the media, you can throw just the media in there and throw the brass in there and it'll tumble clean. The addition is to get a little extra shine and also to keep the shine. I mean, if you just throw it in walnut or with corn cob, if you leave it in there, it'll shine, but then it'll start to dull right away. Putting the Flitz media additive, or a couple other companies make media additives, or the car wash polish, is to help keep that shine, because that's why we're using the tumbler in the first place, because we want our brass shiny. The other way to get your brass really shiny is, as Ray was saying, the wet tumbler with the stainless. So that really gets it nice and shiny too, as long as you get a good stainless media. The other way to then the other ways to clean, you can get an ultrasonic cleaner. Paul's got one. I've actually got one, but I never use it because I like the way the vibratory. The problem with wet tumbling, whether that's a vibratory media or a vibratory tumbler of some sort, or not a vibratory tumbler, but a rolling tumbler for the stainless, is your brass is wet, so you got to dry it. Same thing with an ultrasonic. Your brass is wet, you got to dry it. And then there's the cheap ways to do it. Say you're on a real budget and you can't afford, you get yourself a container and you get some water and some Dawn dish soap and a little bit of lemmy shine. You throw your brass in there, and you shake it all about. And then you rinse it off and shake it all about. And then you keep rinsing it and shaking it until the water stays clean. Anyway, you do this. If you do it in the ultrasonic cleaner, you got to rinse it when you're done. If you do it in the stainless media, you should still rinse it when you're done. But what you have is you have wet brass. So you have to dry it somehow. Some people will put it on a towel and let it sit out in the sun on a cookie sheet. Jim actually puts it up on top of his hot water heater because there's heat there and it helps dry it off there on a cookie sheet. Six Pack Project says he loves his ultrasonic. He must have a really friggin' big one because he says he's doing 5 gallons of brass at a time. I just have the little Hornaday one. So, but like I said, you got to dry it. What I was doing with my ultrasonic when I was using it is I would actually dry it in the ultrasonic and then throw it in or I would wash it in the ultrasonic and then rinse and then throw it in the vibratory tumbler to dry it. So, that's another option. So you can, but if you have the vibratory tumbler in the first place, what's the point of getting the ultrasonic? Now, if you start out with the vibratory tumbler and then you go to the stainless, then there you go. So,
and if your wife will let you put it on a cookie sheet and put it in the oven on about 200.
Yep. Or get yourself a little toaster oven or a food dehydrator. If you pick up you can pick up food dehydrators at garage sales all the time because they're always making them newer, fancier, better. And so the people that are actually using those food dehydrators are buying new ones for that purpose because it's got better timing or better control. Thunderstorm warning until 9. Oh no. NTM. Anyway. Yes, I'm the guy that would be out filming the tornado instead of taking cover.
When I started reloading, I can't tell you how many thousands of rounds I washed in a 5-gallon bucket with this Dawn and Lemmy Shine.
Yep.
Thousands of rounds.
Yep. Oh yeah. 5-gallon buckets work well. A little easier than like one of the tubs because 5-gallon buckets you can just take at the handle and twist it, and that'll agitate it. Somebody had thought about using one of those paint stirrers at one time. No, because those paint stirrers, if they suck brass up, you're gonna ding the hell out of your brass and possibly ruin your brass. Because if you remember how those paint stirrers are, they have hard steel pieces on them for specifically agitating water. And if that hard steel hits your brass at high RPMs, ka-chunk. So no, bad idea. So that's an option. For straining your brass, straining the water out of your brass, just go to Goodwill or St. Vinny's or a thrift store and get an old pasta colander. So Clifford Zach said he uses the washing machine when he wet tumbles. Ooh, that'd be a good idea. Ray, get an old washing machine. Like one of the old style with the wringer.
Yeah.
The open tubs. Oh, that'd freaking work awesome for cleaning brass. Or do what Jerry Mitchell does and use a concrete mixer. Yeah, Jerry Mitchell uses a cement mixer to clean his brass. So anyway, dehydrator. Another thing is get a unmentionables bag or a lingerie bag, and you can put them in the dryer on air dry only. You don't want to put heat on it because it'll warm that brass up. But how you're supposed to do that is you actually shut the bag in the door. So the bag's kind of just hanging against the door, and then it's tumbling. It'll run it by. If you actually throw the brass in there into the dryer, put a couple towels in there because otherwise the brass will slam against the dryer drum and dent up. I mean, it's not that big of a deal because it'll size out. And yeah, you could probably pick up a used cement mixer for cheaper than some of the brass tumblers. So, Sorry, I'm just looking at all the warnings. Anyway, so yeah, Dawn, let me shine. Make sure you use very little let me shine. And Clifford says make sure you have a heavy duty bag when you use the dryer. If you get the lingerie bag that's designed to go onto the door, that works well. And what you could actually do is you could actually get a cow magnet. If you don't know what a cow magnet is, Google it. But you could get a cow magnet, put it inside the bag, and use that to hold it to the inside of the door.
Hmm.
So, because that would keep the bag in place too.
I like the hot water heater trick on top. I never thought of that. That's
Yeah, but it's not much brass. That's the problem. I mean, you're not going to be able to dry a lot of brass that way
no.
because you can. The problem with the whole cookie sheet brass trying idea is you're going to be not a lot. So. Ryan Simpson, I've had the same results as my tumbler, just putting the brass in the truck bed in a bucket with Dawn if you're on the cheap. Yep. Do not put it in sand and try to attach it to the wheel. Sand's very abrasive, very hard on brass. But by brass junk. So, but yeah. 6-pack project said casserole dish in the oven on warm. Yep, that'll work. So, but yeah, somehow you got to get it dry. However you figure out to do it. Don't use a hair dryer because it creates too much heat. That's the catch. You have to do it while low temp. So, yeah. Jim Fleming, co-host of this lovely show, did do that once. He put brass and sand in a bucket, closed it up real good, and then attached it to his wheel and drove down the road, and found out that didn't work very well. So, but
I will add, don't put brasso in your tumbling media. I heard that hardens the brass.
so brasso has ammonia in it. It actually starts to degrade the brass.
Degrade the brass, yeah.
Yeah, don't use anything that has ammonia in it because ammonia actually will degrade the brass and weaken it. So, and if you pull out your brass and it's pink and you're using Lemmy Shine and Dawn, you put in too much Lemmy Shine.
Yeah.
We've debated on this whether you can still use the brass or not. I've chucked it. Smash it and chuck it. Is my personal recommendation because I don't know. So. 6-pack project said I know a couple of guys that use play sand in a rotary tumbler to good effect. I guess. So, I mean, if you're going to use a rotary tumbler, you might as well just get stainless media and be done with it. So, but I guess if you want to use play sand, go ahead. I wouldn't recommend it because it is quite abrasive. So, but to each their own. That's the beautiful thing about this hobby is everybody finds their own way of doing stuff. So. Ryan Simpson said 9mm of citric acid. Lemmy Shine is citric acid, so yeah, 9mm.
That's about right.
Yeah, so 9mm case is what he's talking about.
Yep.
Fill that with Lemmy Shine or citric acid. If you buy the citric acid, it's cheaper. You can get it on Amazon or whatever. So, Lemmy Shine is just easier for me to get. So. But the Lemmy Shiny gets a powder, and so you just mix it in there. But yeah. Anyway, so you got that. Yeah, and as Bem said, depends on your water on the mix. If you got harder water, you're going to want a little more. If you got soft water, you may want a little less. Basically, the Lemmy Shine is to help offset the water issue, so you don't have spotting and stuff. The Dawn's the one that actually does the real cleaning. So, but some people have tossed, on larger cases, they've tossed airsoft BBs in there to help try and clean the inside of the case when they're doing the shaking and the manual agitation, shall we say. So, but Vemja must have had some hard water because he's using a tablespoon per tumble. So that's quite a bit. Not that it's a bad thing. So, um, as far as case lubes, you've got your sizing dye wax. You've got Hornady One Shot. I've never tried Rinse Aid. I don't know if that would do you any good or not. So like Jet Dry. I don't know. Maybe somebody has. If you've used Jet Dry, email podcast, reloadingpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know. Maybe it'd work. I don't know. I've never bothered to look what's in it. So, yeah, there's all sorts of different ways to clean your brass, and you can find all sorts of different options and stuff. And there's different tools out there, from actual stuff made for it to stuff that people have rigged up to do it. So, find something that works for you and go with it. So,
if you've got extremely hard water, you could add just a little bit of borax to which would act as a water softener.
True.
It helped.
So Clifford Zach said, I heard if you use woolite, if you use lanolin lube, because it works better than Dawn. For getting the lube off?
Huh.
Red Wings just tied it up. It's just like last night's game. Good grief. I'm glad I'm not watching it. I had a friggin' heart attack. I wasn't watching last night's either because I was working at Cabela's, but I don't know. So if anybody's tried that, using woolite instead of Dawn as your cleaning agent, let us know. So basically lanolin lube. Oh my gosh, with 3.3 seconds left. Holy cow. We're going overtime, baby. Okay, show's over. Goodbye. I'm kidding. So, yeah, if you've used woolite instead of Dawn, because you're using the lanolin lube or the Dylan lube, give us an email, reloadingpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know. So, where was it going? Oh, lubes. Speaking of. So you'll hear a lot of people talk about lanolin lube. So basically that is pure lanolin. Excuse me. Some people will use just straight pure lanolin. Like Jim said, he uses that on his machine gun brass. So he doesn't get stuck cases anymore. Otherwise, basically what they do is they take pure lanolin and mix it with you want at least 99% alcohol. A lot of people will use iso heat, the red bottle. You can use that, and you basically use a 10 to 1, 11 to 1, 12 to 1 mixture, something like that. 10 parts lanolin to 1 part alcohol. And what people will do is they'll mix it up real well and put it in a spray bottle, and they spray it all over the brass. Or they'll have it in like they'll pour a little bit into like what Ray does into a little bucket, dump the brass in there and shake it all about. And then you go ahead and size it. A lot of times, especially with that lanolin lube, that Dylan lube, you're going to wind up cleaning your cases off once you're done sizing them. You can throw them back in the cleaner, however you cleaned them, and do that again. Like, see, that's the advantage of having a vibratory tumbler. I can just toss them back in there and pull them back out when I'm done. I've done that with the Hornady One Shot. So
I think Paul just takes a rag with some alcohol and just wipes them off.
Yeah, what Paul Nelson does is he has denatured alcohol, and he'll put that on a rag and then just wipe the cases off, and that cleans it up. So basically, you want to kind of clean that up a bit, so you're not going to have issues, because if you've got all that lube on there, now that lube is attracting dirt and dust. You don't want that in your firearm chamber. So, and if you think you can, keep your cartridges completely hermetically sealed until they go into the chamber, well, now you've put all that lube in your chamber, and all that powder and debris and everything else from the actual firing and ejecting action is building up, and so now you're caking your chamber. So, but Quadfather 504 FPV said, he said that he did that one time. He did load the pink brass because he used too much Lummy Shine, and did shoot it, but then he threw them away after because he didn't want to risk more than one loading on him. So, but Vemgem roll sizes, because he's down in Australia, and I'm sure he probably got a pretty good deal on it. Roll sizer, we've had him on in the past. It's a different way to size the cases, and it actually sizes the full case. The premise is when you put a case into a sizing die, this part is the rim, and the bottom of the actual case itself is in the shell holder, so it's not actually getting up into the sizing die to get completely resized. A roll sizer actually sizes the whole entire thing, because the cases are free floating in the machine until they go into the sizing, and that's a lot more efficient as far as getting a full case size. So it's just another way to skin the cat. So that type of thing.
Jim also had a question. Do you use lube with carbide dyes?
You should not have to use lube with carbide dyes on straight wall cartridges.
Right.
I would not trust using straight wall bottleneck cartridges in a carbide dye without lube. So I am gonna see about making sure that I don't ever grab this again. So basically what I did is I schmooked this piece of brass, so now I don't have to worry about accidentally grabbing it again. Excuse me. Okay, so 6-pack project said 500 Smith & Wesson you have to. So, but anyway, so I think we did cover that in the straight wall deal. So, but so lubes, the two lubes I will not recommend to anybody ever are the RCBS lube and the Lee lube. Honestly, they're garbage. You might as well just use sawdust. So, they're just horrible. I don't know what it is with the deal with those, but no, I've never had any luck with using them. They're messy, they're horrible, and they just don't work right. So, like I said, one shot, spray all four sides, let it dry. And that goes for any other aerosol lube. Let it dry. So it even says that right in the instructions of the one shot, which, I know we're men, we're not supposed to read instructions. Reloading is that exemption. So, gotta let it dry. Like the lanolin lube, pure lanolin. You can use iso heat, or you can use. I don't know if we figured out if you could use denatured alcohol or not. As long as it's strong enough, 95% or more, I suspect it would work. But or you can just do what Jim does and use straight lanolin, which I don't know would be kind of messier and maybe a little inefficient, but it's not really that expensive to do. So, but and I think that about covers it for that mess. So I want to take some time to talk about Patriot Patch Company. So denatured should work. It's ethanol and methanol. Yeah, I don't remember what Paul said. I know we were talking about it, so I was thinking it would. So Patriot Patch Company makes these lovely things every month and sends them out. And these are the patch of the month. So you get the patch. April is fun because it usually has to do with Easter and Easter Bunny and stuff like this. So you've got a few lovely decorated grenades, a couple of 40mm grenades, and of course, everybody's favorite, the Claymore that says, "Surprise, you found me." They also make it as a sticker, and then you get Ryan's original drawing. So, awesome fun. Then they, different themes for every month. Next month is always involving Memorial Day, so it's always a cool one. I think he sent it out already. So, as far as the image, so it's pretty awesome. Swing over patriotpatch.co. Check it out. They've got the patches. They also have shirts, hats, all sorts of other cool stuff. Also want to talk about Sean Heron from We Like Shooting, also president of the lovely Firearms Radio Network, made a camouflage. Why? Because the camouflage that was out there did not work for what he wanted. So he said, looking for camo that's as versatile as your adventures and as stylish as your streetwear, meet Camerado. The camo is changing the game. Whether you're trekking through the woods or hitting the town, Camerado's unique pattern is designed to blend in and stand out all at once. It's not just camo, it's a lifestyle choice that fits in everywhere. If you're going to go to camerado.com, use code RELOAD at checkout for an exclusive discount. So, Camerado's pretty cool. I've got some stuff. They've got lots of outerwear and also some lounging around the house stuff. So it's pretty sweet. I want to give a shout out to all of the listeners that have joined Discord in the last couple of weeks. We're trying to get a whole bunch of people over there. We have some really good content. We also have some fun. So the more the merrier. So, if you want the Discord link, hit us up on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, both personally and podcast. Also on MeWe and Signal. And we are on. Is there anything else? Facebook, Instagram, MeWe, Signal. I think that's it. So, Signal chat doesn't really get a lot of effort, so we don't have a lot of people on there. So, because we're trying to get everybody over to Discord, because Discord's nice because it's searchable, and also it's all different channels and stuff. So if you've got a question about, say, a Dillon press, there's actually a place to ask that. Discord, we also have buying and selling pages. So if you want to buy and sell stuff there, reloading related stuff, But yes, send us an email, reloadingpodcast@gmail.com, and I can send you the Discord link too. So you can also hit up the podcast at 608-467-0308. You can send us a text or give us a call and leave us a voicemail. So we haven't had a voicemail in a long time, but if you call and leave one, we'll put it on the air. So order Imperial Sizing die wax right there from Reading for lubing cases. So it's really good stuff and it lasts. Like I said, you can barely see the divot in there, and this is about 300 or 400 cases. So it really, really holds up well and really lasts. Like I said, normally I wear nitrile gloves when I'm doing it, so it I don't have to worry about absorbing in. It just goes in the brass. And the nice thing about the nitrile gloves is if I'm not getting the case good, it kind of sticks to the glove. So next week, we're going to talk about making sure the overall length of the case is right, and then go into seating primers. So we'll cover trimming the case, chamfering, deburring, all that fun stuff. And then, priming the case. Basically, I did a basic size. I'm not talking about bumping the shoulder or anything back like that. We'll get into that in the expanded. So, but that about wraps it up for tonight. Ray, you got any shout outs?
Nope.
And I believe GunCon is now sold out. So if you did not get your ticket already, so sorry. So, like I said, I will be at NRA, the NRA show, meeting up a couple of listeners there. And then I will be at GunCon along with Ray and Nick. And Sharenda hasn't made up her mind whether she's going to come up for Saturday or not. So she was going to look into it and see. She couldn't get off work for Friday. So, but yeah. So looking forward to that. Cool stuff. Turkey hunting's firing up around here, so that starts tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow, April 17th, is the first day of turkey hunting. So in Wisconsin, so that'll be exciting. I am not going, but I know a few friends that are. So make sure you swing over to reloading or firearmsradio.net and check out all the podcasts that are there. That's how you get to find our merch. Also, go to firearmsradio.net and then hit up our page and you go down. They've got the all shows. You drop down to Reloading Podcast, and then you click on the green Buy Our Merch button. It'll take you to Southern Gals Crafts. And on that page, we have the Reloading Podcast t-shirts, the tumblers, and we've got sweatshirts on there too. And we've also got some t-shirts and sweatshirts poking fun at the ATF, because why not? Excuse me. And we got can koozies. So we also have our Patreon link there at the page. If you click on support the show, it'll take you to our Patreon page. You can actually become a Patch of the Month Club member and support the podcast at the same time. So if you want. So anyway, that pretty much wraps it up for tonight, gang. So on that note, keep your brass shiny.
Jump on the middle short bus and teach them to shoot and reload when they're young.
Make sure you support the Second Amendment. Whether it's the local organizations, state organizations, national organizations, or hopefully all of them one. Also, make sure you're calling your elected representatives and letting them know nicely and intelligently how you want them to vote on pro or anti-gun bills. If you can, if you know there's going to be gun bills being heard, go down. Figure out a way. If you can take off, go down to the wherever it is. Obviously, traveling to Washington is kind of a challenge, Washington, D.C., but, if you can get to your state capital, try and do that and let them know in person. But like I said, you got to be nice. You got to be intelligent. So, and most importantly, if you're struggling mentally, 988 or 1-800-273-8255, reach out, get some help. Yes, the weather's getting nicer, and so people that have been suffering with seasonal depression are kind of getting better, but you still need to be watching out for your friends and family, folks. You can't force somebody to get the help, but you can let them know that you're there to help support them, and that it's not a sign of weakness to reach out and get help, but it's actually a sign of strength, because it takes a lot of courage to admit that you've got something going on and to get help. So, support them, be with them. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.